sense is humor, so it creeps out at the weirdest times. Originally, I was just going to go into my history, which you'll still have to suffer through. But I wanted to preface it by saying it's been 3.5 years since the memory of my rape returned. I was, suffice to say, I'm now in the clinical social work program at Smith College in Northampton, Mass. If anybody knows the school, I got lucky. It's so competitive to get in there. It was the only school I applied to, and I was actually graced with a full scholarship. So I suppose something good has come out of something so horrible. During my time in the service, I started out as a Navy nuke, and I was an electronics technician. And when I went to A school in 1981, I was raped, and it wasn't the violent. It wasn't the violent thing that most people picture. I was a high-level athlete. I was a wrestler. I was constantly training. I was in phenomenal shape. And I met someone, now keep in mind too, I'm a 19-year-old kid from Connecticut who was a farm boy. I was still, naive is an understatement. Had just gotten to the base and met somebody who was very charismatic, was always working out. I was always in on the wrestling mats training. And he befriended me and groomed me over time. And one night we had gone out to a bar and he offered a nightcap. He was an E6, I was an E3. We couldn't have alcohol in our birthing area, so it was, it sounded like a good time. And I didn't know if something was slipped to me or if I had just reached the threshold of my alcohol consumption. Doesn't really matter because I didn't perpetrate the act on myself. Let's flash forward to 2013. By then I'd been a very active member in the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and I was on the National Legislative Committee. I was leading our state delegation, our state leaders to our various Congress people. The first meeting, everyone gets to speak about their hot button issue that belongs to the VFW, and my job was to fill in the blanks. I had, up to that time, a number of veterans in my local area need someone to talk to, so wanting to understand post-traumatic stress better, started reading. And then I started reading about the effects of post-traumatic stress on rape victims versus combat PTSD. So I'm explaining this to my congressman, and I don't know the exact moment when it happened, but that's where it all came back. In front of 7 other people I didn't particularly want to share it with, so aside from being embarrassing, I was awestruck by the immediacy of my body's response to it. I guess it's a morbid sense of curiosity that I've had since I was a kid. When things happen I can't do anything about. So there were a couple of people who were in my group, surprisingly people I did not think would ask me if I was okay, did ask me if I was okay, and I said, I don't know, I haven't spoken or remembered this for 30 some odd years. So over the course of the ensuing week, I did not go back to Connecticut. I stayed and I worked. And I feel sorry for every congressman and senator who had to listen to me retell that story, because damn it, they were going to hear it while it was raw. The way I saw it, it was out there. and the iron needed to be struck while it was hot. So I worked my tail off during the week, and each night I got drunk, silly drunk, like 3 sailors drunk. It was bad. I got up at 6 every morning and got up and went and did the work, and for the next 4 months I drank like that. My return home, I had actually lagged back a day to speak with Congresswoman Esty, who was my congresswoman. She wasn't available the first time around, and asked me to come back to speak to her. So I had lagged back, and then came the 6-hour drive back to Connecticut. First guy I called. Brian and I had started to develop a professional relationship, hoping to trade resources and grow together. And it was the only reason I had his phone number. And I called him and told him what happened, and I was a hot mess. And after I got off the phone with Brian, I called a survivor I had helped not 6 months earlier get a VFW service officer to help her file her claim for her MST case. And then, after I got off the phone with her, then I started calling my family to get home. Didn't help matters that it was raining either. It was crappy. So telling my mother was surreal. Telling my brothers was surreal, but it got me home. I got home and had to tell my wife. I got my stuff in the door. I said, honey, we need to go out and have a drink. We need to talk. And she said, well, you're scaring me. What's going on? I said, believe me, it's not you. I said, something happened to me down in D.C. I need you right now. I need to talk to you. So we went to a local bar in Torrington that's not hard to find. And I told her everything that had happened. And it's fun being triggered. I told her everything that happened, and she said, you're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. And I said, you don't know what we're in for. I said, I know what we're in for, and it's going to get scary.